The judicial chamber was filled with a spooky, deliberate silence that frequently preceded the delivery of a verdict. Maravas sat in her designated spot, after it was decided that no one dared question her, with her hands clenched in front of her and surrounded by a sea of alien faces. The room was a whirlpool of colors, scaled skins, bioluminescent tentacles, and chittering appendages that could simultaneously speak 100 languages. "The Exora crystals in the Gamma-Eridon region have received the verdict," came the head adjudicator's silky monotone voice. "They should be moved to the appropriate jurisdiction of the Alric. Humanity's claims are no longer legitimate, effective." Immediately, the hammer struck. Mara's breath seized in her throat, but she forced herself to keep her face composed. The chamber was quiet. The Alcyon, whose leader, a gelatinous creature called Verk, made a gurgling noise, seemed the least surprised. Mara's fingers bit into her palm, the slight pain grounding her. "We give thanks to the Concord of Sapience," Verk pulsed as it spoke to the tribunal, "for maintaining the values of justice and civility. We are confident humanity will recognize its position." The insult was subtle, but clear. Mara stood from her seat, slicing through the dense air. "Ambassador Verk," she said, voice calm, "humanity's place is wherever we decide to make it." The chamber burst into whispers. Mara paused, letting the tension build. Some faces were amused, some contemptuous. A few turned away, whether in pity or respect she couldn't tell. But respect without comprehension is merely fear. "Ambassador Vass," the adjudicator interjected, voice sharp, "despite your annoyance, you will respect this body's decision. Civility is paramount." "Civility?" Mara repeated, the word tasting bitter. "We've learned a lot about that since joining the Concord. But let me ask, what happens when civility is used as a weapon against justice?" "Humanity is fortunate to even have a seat." Verk's body rippled with smug vibration. Mara tilted her head. "Yes, very fortunate." The gavel struck. The session was over. The tribunal scattered, leaving Mara alone in the dimming light. Her communicator buzzed softly. She read the 3 words from Earth's High Council: "Act is green." For a moment, it froze her breath. They believed they couldn't do this. But Mara knew better. Back in her quarters, bare walls and a small Terran flag reminded her what she stood for. Another buzz, a code, one that made her stomach drop. Humanity had spent decades preparing for this. They played along, learned the systems, studied the blind spots. The masquerade was always going to end. Commander Ortega's face appeared in a secure hologram, hardened, uncompromising. "You've been briefed?" "I have," Mara said. "The Alcyons think they've won. The Concord thinks we're cornered. Time to show them what it means to underestimate humanity." Ortega gave the order. "Take the station. Cut their comms." "Auroral Zenith is yours to command," the transmission cut. Mara stared at the glowing blue and green of Earth's flag. Small disruptions. Started power outages in non-human residences, security drones redirected, auxiliary hangars locked down. A team of hand-picked human agents moved silently through the oral labyrinth. Engineers, hackers, soldiers dotted the station's main communications hub. Mara's first obstacle: towering insectoid Concord enforcers with plasma spikes. "You are not authorized." "You're right," Mara said, "but I'm here anyway." Her agents struck, quick, efficient. The battle was over in seconds. The enforcers disabled before raising alarm. Mara gave her team 10 minutes, reroute, hack, override the diplomats. Reflection in the terminal glass was gone. Only the soldier remained. She activated the broadcast. "Sapient species of the Concord," she began. "Humanity has followed your laws. We've shown restraint. But today we say this clearly: injustice will no longer be tolerated. You've mistaken patience for weakness. That ends now." Across the galaxy, cloaked human fleets appeared like blades of light. The Zenith station systems were seized. This wasn't theater. This was declaration. The station shook. Explosions rocked the core. Warden's elite Concord enforcers had arrived. Ruthless, loyal, dangerous. "We can't let them gain a foothold," Mara said. "Lucas, ion pulses in the secondaries. Choke them." Her crew spread out. She grabbed her sidearm. If we lose the hub, we lose the mission. I'm going to Deck 5, her aide protested. This isn't a debate. Hold your corridors. Through corridors and fire, Mara reached Deck 5. Containment drones pinned human troops behind cover. Situation? A young woman pointed. Wardens 50 meters, shields up, we can't advance. Mara peeked. The wardens gleamed in adaptive armor, shields pulsing. Drones hovered, imposing, precise. We don't need to outgun them. We outsmart them, suppress that corridor. Follow me. They slipped into a maintenance shaft, crawling through tight spaces. Mara whispered, stay close. Moments later, they emerged meters from the wardens. One drone down with a clean shot. A soldier fired. Shield down, they charged. The wardens didn't expect the flank. They fell. Victory wasn't certain yet. But Maravas had lit the match, and the galaxy would burn before she let Earth be cast aside again. There were moments when the only sound in the hallway was the victor's labored breathing. Mara, standing amid the debris, looked intently and remarked, they're testing us. Let's make them regret it. The soldier next to her nodded. She had a mixture of amazement, remorse, and resolve. Now, Mara stated, we holster our weapons and push harder. Let's demonstrate to them that we are only beginning. On the bridge of the Heavenly Dawn, humanity's flagship, the frigid glare of tactical screens lit up the room. Each screen displayed the escalating turmoil throughout the auroral zenith. At the center of it all stood Commander Ortega, his presence commanding, his gaze sharp as he watched his fleet perform precise maneuvers across the galaxy methodically, tearing down the lines of the Concorde. Every action was deliberate, a step toward overthrowing an order that had long dismissed humanity as insignificant. Status report, Ortega demanded. A young officer flinched before responding. Concorde fleets are reassembling near the Triarch Nebula. They're stealing resources from nearby systems. But our interference teams disrupted their systems. It'll take them hours to recover. Ortega allowed a small smile to tug at the edge of his mouth. Keep them scrambling. The comlink buzzed. Mara's face appeared on the display, sharp features tight with tension. Deck 5 is secure, she reported. The wardens are dispersed but adapting. If we don't press the advantage, they will. Reinforcements are on their way, Ortega assured her. The longer we keep them reactive, the better. Don't let them settle. You're the spearhead, Mara. Drive forward. She nodded, cutting the link. Ortega turned back to his tactical display, already anticipating the larger threat. The Concorde was vast but bloated. It had taken just one spark to reveal the cracks in their so-called unity. Suddenly, the tactical officer's voice turned urgent. Admiral Lark's fleet is breaking formation. They're pulling back toward the Algor Nexus. Ortega narrowed. His eyes double quotes no they're not retreating. They're regrouping for a counteroffensive, harass their flanks, keep them guessing. Back at the station, Mara and her team advanced through the tense hallways. Moving toward enemy territory was a calculated risk, but holding back was no longer an option. She raised a hand to signal halt. As she turned the corner, her heart sank. A group of wardens was stationed at the far end, engineers working frantically behind them, armor glowing under flickering lights. We can't attack head-on, Mara whispered. Look, maintenance ducts above. We drop in behind. Lucas, open the vents. They moved swiftly, crawling through the metallic ducts. Every movement was calculated, every breath controlled. Beneath them, the wardens waited confident in their position. Mara positioned herself, then kicked open the vent, dropping into their midst. Before they could react, her sidearm barked twice. Engage! She yelled. The team descended like thunder. Plasma fire and screams filled the room. Within minutes, it was over. Secure the hub, Mara commanded, her voice steady but heavy. Back aboard the Heavenly Dawn, Ortega stood at the center of chaos. Red and blue lights blinked across the galaxy on the displays. Humanity had pushed forward, but the Concorde was retaliating. An officer turned to him, tension in her voice. The Alcyon flagship is broadcasting on wideband, threatening orbital bombardment. Patch it through, Ortega ordered. Varric, the gelatinous Alcyon ambassador, appeared, his translucent body rippling with fury. Your defiance ends now. Submit, or we reduce your station to ashes. Ortega's reply was calm. If the Concord was as strong as you claim, you wouldn't be talking. You're afraid ... and you should be. He cut the feed. Send a representative, he ordered. Tell them, orbital threats won't scare us. They've already lost control of the station. In the core hub, Marat's team stood firm as shadows danced from the flashing lights. Commander, she said over the comm, the Wardens are launching everything at us. If they reclaim the hub, the station is lost. Then we stop them, Ortega replied, but defensive lines won't be enough. Mara had a plan, overload the reactors beneath the enemy staging ground. It's risky, Ortega warned. We may lose the station. If we wait for them to hit us, she countered, we lose it anyway. Mara and Lucas raced to the reactor control chamber. The station groaned under the pressure. They reached the console just as Concord enforcers burst in. How much longer? Mara shouted, taking cover behind a console. 15 seconds. Lucas called back. Mara fired with lethal precision. We're almost done, just a little more. It's ready. Lucas finally called, overload sequence engaged. 2 minutes to blast. They fled, enforcers on their heels. Explosions shook the corridor. Ortega's voice cracked over the link. Did you set the charges? Yes, Mara responded. They won't regroup again. Back at the hub, the explosion rocked the ground. Mara stumbled, then saw enemy lines break in chaos. Fire consumed the staging zone. Her voice rang out, hold the line. The Concord forces hesitated for the first time. They had seen what humanity could do. On the Heavenly Dawn, Ortega observed the destruction. He turned to his officers. Send the